Hi there, Phil the Practical Gardener again. This tip is about growing crops in greenhouses, and this is one of a series that I've been producing regarding protective cropping structures. I've talked about the layout and the positioning of them within the property, the structures, the cladding that you might use on them, issues to do with heating. I am also going to do two more, one about cropping inside the house and another one about clochers and smaller protective structures that you don't actually walk into, you just lift off. So be sure to look at those ones I've already done and these others as they become available. In this particular tip, I'm going to be talking about issues regarding cropping through the season, that is the warm growing season and the cooler dormant season when you can still use your greenhouse, issues to do with watering, drainage, soil health, pest and disease management, and also training of your crop. So, without more ado, let's get into it. First of all, I'll discuss cropping through the different seasons, presuming that you're in the temperate climate as I am here. Warm season crops: tomatoes, capsicums, chilies, cucumbers, eggplant or aubergine, and beans can be planted in early spring and should grow quickly. They are removed in autumn as they finish cropping. It isn't worth growing these crops during winter in a domestic greenhouse. There will be insufficient light and the heating costs would be prohibitive. Tall growing crops such as climbing beans or indeterminate tomatoes will use your valuable space more efficiently than ground hugging ones. Then looking at cool season crops, these can be grown after the main summer crop has been removed. Crops include salad greens, brassicas such as cabbage and silver beet chard. Although these will survive in the ground outside, they will thrive in the protected conditions and produce their crop faster. Note here that in early spring Davis planted his tomatoes and sweet peppers among his maturing winter crop. Next, companion plants. The concepts are as applicable in a greenhouse as in the open ground. Flowering plants can encourage beneficial insects such as pollinators, predators and parasitoids. Scented plants may deter or confuse pests. Cover crops will help to increase organic matter in the soil. Now, maintaining the plants will be a little bit different than if you were growing them in the ground outside. The first three things that I'm going to discuss will assume that you are growing them in the soil rather than hydroponically or in modules. Firstly, watering. Be diligent about watering, as vigorous plants in an artificially warm environment will dry out quickly. Irrigate the soil under the plants rather than over the top to keep the humidity low and to avoid spreading disease. Drip irrigation systems or a soaker hose are a good option. Next, drainage. During wet conditions, rainfall is shed from the greenhouse onto the surrounding ground, presuming that you don't have guttering, and will flow into the soil inside the structure. For this reason, greenhouse crops are best grown on raised beds at least 20 centimetres or 8 inches above the surrounding ground level. These can be combined with a raised foundation on the greenhouse as I'm showing here and recommended in my tip, greenhouse construction. Soil health. The organic matter in greenhouse soil breaks down faster than in the ground, owing to the benign conditions. Be diligent about replacing it using high density organic materials such as finished compost or animal manure. A straw mulch will contribute to soil health. Next, temperature. A domestic greenhouse can get hot extremely quickly. Adequate ventilation is key to keeping this down. You may need to put shading over the structure to cool it, however this may reduce your crop. Pests. A greenhouse is an ideal environment for insects and mites, which proliferate at a startling rate. The most effective control is usually beneficial predators and parasites, which can be purchased at garden shops or by mail order. Introduce these early in the life of the crop before the pest gets established. Then a related issue, disease. Most fungal and bacterial diseases thrive in a high humidity environment. So keep the humidity low through your irrigation practices, keeping a mulch on the surface, and by allowing maximum ventilation. Clean your tools between managing the plants to avoid transmitting viruses. Pollination. Tomatoes in particular are pollinated by insects. You may be able to purchase small bumblebee hives to achieve this. An alternative is to tap the supporting stakes or twines with a short length of bamboo, which will encourage self-pollination. Finally, training. Climbing crops are usually grown up a stake or twine which can hang from the greenhouse structure. Be diligent regarding tying the plants to the support and removing excess lateral growth, or you will quickly get an unmanageable jungle. So that's my range of suggestions. I do have specific discussion regarding a number of crops under my playlist with vegetables, so be sure to look at them if you are thinking about those particular ones. Also, of course, look at the full range that I have on my playlist, because I do cover a range of different issues regarding landscaping and gardening. Also, by the way, and this is quite exciting, I have just released a book called Down to Earth Gardening, and you can buy that through several different online channels. If it's not available in bookstores, I link 3 of these down below. Be sure to like this tip if you found this of use to you, and share it with others, and subscribe if you haven't done so. And finally, thanks of course as always for watching this through to the end.